Good evening, my beautiful butterflies and fly guys. Listen, I know you're ready to get into tonight's discussion, so without pause, let's get right to it. So this week, our discussion will center around the topic, does pretty always win? In our series, Tales, Rumors, and Gossip, Part 2. So ladies, have you gone out with your less than attractive girlfriend? And have you ever been surprised by the amount of attention she received from men versus the amount that you received? If that thought has ever crossed your mind, then listen, you don't want to miss this discussion. So go ahead and tell Lottie Dottie and everybody that HeSpoke Fashion is live. And we will be right back after this. Are you ready, AB? All right, let's get it. Hit it. Yeah, in the building.
HeSpoke Fashion, I'm telling HeSpoke Fashion. So bad. HeSpoke Fashion, I'm telling HeSpoke.
All right. Again, I thank you for joining us. And listen, I'm glad you've taken time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation. So as I shared during my opening, this question concerning the attractiveness of women is an age-old question. And tonight we are looking for an answer. Why? For me, it's simple. If after a pandemic, women continue to have success, are highly educated, they have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and then Jesus is still your husband, then we have some things we need to discuss. So I know this is HeSpoke Fashion, where we discuss women's fashion from a man's perspective. And I am your host, Daylon Thomas. And so, as I often say, fashion gives you an advantage. And listen, that statement is not up for discussion. But one thing that I must admit, sometimes I believe gets lost in the minutia, is the fact that there are other non-tangibles that we cannot dismiss any longer. So the age-old tale concerning look both on the inside and the outside, it rears its head once again. Because for me, this is what it boils down to, in that this is something I believe many successfully fashionable, educated women fail to remember. So this construct of being a bad bee has led to many, in my opinion, that I believe are majoring in the minor instead of majoring in the major. So just the other day, and this is what brought on this conversation, I was privy to a conversation that was being held by a few guys. And the conversation, it went something like this. So let me set this up. There were two women that were passing by. And one guy says to the other guy, "Hey, man, you have to do me a favor." And the other guy responds, "Sure, what's up?" The first guy says, "You're going to have to take one for the team, bruh." By which the second guy responds, "Wait a minute, bro. Didn't I do that last time?" And so the first guy, he shrugs his shoulders, and then guess what he does? He proceeds to approach what society would deem the more attractive woman. And he introduces himself. And of course, as you know, just do me a favor. And I want you to share what picture just entered your mind when I said the more attractive woman. All right? So now that you have that image, I want to continue to tell my story. So while the first guy I'm telling you, he was using his best game to woo the more attractive woman. I mean, he was pulling out the best. But while he was doing his best, he was experiencing rejection at the end of every statement. What's your name? Why is that important? What do you want? I really think you look amazing, and I wanted to know if I could take you out to lunch. Well, I'm not interested. I mean, while he is getting rejected, his friend who was doing him the favor, who I would say, again, was taking one for the team, is having a great conversation. Watch this, with the less of the attractive women. And she shares with him that her girlfriend isn't even in a relationship. And she doesn't know why she's behaving that way when she hasn't been out on a date since prior to the last 2 years. Now, I will admit, that doesn't sound too bad since we all know what we've experienced over the last 2 years. But nevertheless, they both begin to observe the interaction between the other two. So here's the couple, the not so attractive young lady with the second guy. They're observing the interaction between the other two. But at the end of it all, the first guy was able to get the young lady's IG with a promise that she would check for him on IG. But when he turned to his friend and motioned that his attempt was over, you could see it in his eyes that he was broken by his failure. But nevertheless, he played it off as best as he could. Yo, bro, let's roll. I'm going to hit her up later on IG, he said, right? Both the second guy and the young lady looked at each other and burst out laughing. And they hugged each other and said, I hope to see you soon. So the first guy, upon hearing their goodbye, said to his friend, bro, I should have hollered at her in the first place. To which the second guy said, he said, nah, bro, she's too down to earth for you. You like those high sedity women. Now listen, do you still have the image of the first woman in mind? Without knowing for sure what she looks like, does this description match what you imagine her to look like when I said high sedity? Does that description match what you imagine her to look like? Why is that? Well, while we'll never truly know the intentions of the first guy, we are hopeful that his intentions were, as he shared with her, that he wanted to get to know her and possibly start a relationship. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be a lovely couple. So in an article I read, and it was from an article of a column entitled Dear Carolyn, one writer posed a question, and the writer by the name of Washington says, why are all nice girls ugly and all the pretty girls not nice? Though I suppose it's true of the guys too, but personally, I'm less interested in them. Someone once explained to me that pretty girls get so much attention because of the way they look that they never needed to be friendly, while the ugly girls, and I hate to say that because no one's true ugly, but while the ugly girls know the only way they'll get attention is to be charming. He says, I hate buy into these kinds of generalities, but I must say, as a 20-something on the front lines of the dating war, there seems to be a certain truth in it. And her response, this is the columnist Carolyn from Dear Carolyn, her response was equally as interesting. And she said, so being female, I'm either ugly on the inside or ugly on the outside. But my question is this: is there some truth to Washington's statement, or is it a tale, rumor, or gossip? Tonight's discussion, again, it centers around this topic: does pretty always win? So here's the question: does attention come more easily to people who are born beautiful? And does that stunt their character growth? Now, you could almost argue that. Or is it that more attractive women develop defenses against relentless attention from guys who judge them solely on their looks? My fly guys, what do you think? Let me hear from you in the comment section. So have you ever had similar experiences where the one who may have been the less attractive at the time turned out to be the best of the two? The question is, again, does pretty always win? I want to hear from some of my beautiful butterflies. Do you think that fashion alone will do it for you? As BBD said, do you think that a big butt and a smile will always win? But listen, aren't you more than a pretty face? Aren't you more than a fashionista? Listen, will she always win over her? Will she always win over someone like her? Will women like Brittany Renner always be the first one chosen? Now listen, I believe, and I think the tide might be turning in cases like these, when more women are starting to depend more and more on looks versus the other tangibles or non-tangibles that I referenced before. Now let me ask you fellas, is it really worth it to have someone who looks the part but doesn't have your back, doesn't support you, all for the sake of having a dime piece? You know what? It's time for us to play our game for tonight. It's time for us to play our game. And the game is, let's just give AB a chance to catch up here, because we have to play our game for tonight. And I want you to join me in playing our game for tonight. And the game is none other than who wants to be a fashionaire. All right? Who wants to be a fashionaire? So I want you to look at this. The question tonight on our game show, who wants to be a fashionaire, is, come on, I gotta hear the views. What kind of woman will men choose for romance in 2022? That is our question for tonight on Who Wants to Be a Fashionaire. All right? So let's see. We have to get to what our choices are going to be. What are our choices for tonight? Let's see what our choices are. All right. So what kind of woman will men choose for romance in 2022? A pretty face, a big butt, and a smile? What about a butterface? And then last but not least, all of the above. So who wants to be a fashionaire? What do you think, ladies? What do you think, fellas? What are your choices? My fly guys, you got to chime in. A, B, C, or D. Who wants to be a fashionaire? So listen, we're having fun. But listen, I know that we pay a lot of attention to beauty in this world. I was going to say in this country, but it's not so. It's all over the world. We pay close attention to beauty. We give preferential treatment to beauty. A pretty face will go a long way. But for the beautiful butterflies out there, I want to share this quote with you. As you know, I love a good quote. And it says, "A woman's beautiful face attracts a flirter. A woman's beautiful heart attracts a lover. A woman's beautiful character attracts a man." Author is unknown. And you know what that means? It's really up to you who and what you attract. If you look at who you are attracting, it should tell you what you need to do to change that. And remember, the change, it really starts with you. Well, listen, it's time to bring this discussion to a close. And I've had a really good time. I've really enjoyed you all on tonight. And I hope that you enjoyed this discussion. Remember, this is HeSpoke Fashion, and I am the host, Daylon Thomas. And I want to leave you with this. I know that some of you are wondering how I could recommend working on the inner you when this platform is more for the outer you in terms of fashion. And you know what? That's a good question. My answer is simply this. It is my belief that fashion does not only deal with what you wear, but it speaks also and more to how you are made. How are you fashioned? That would not only entail the outer beauty, but the inner beauty as well. So my aim tonight was very simple, and it was to look into what society deems as beauty and start the discussion on, does pretty always win? Of course, we could not answer the question in its entirety tonight, such a short time, but we wanted to start the dialogue and hopes that in the age of IG and smartphones with better cameras, TikTok and the like, that we can shift the attention from what's on the outside to what is on the inside. And thank you for joining this discussion. And just before we go, I want to remind you of the HeSpoke Fashion One Spring Day Party coming to the beautiful city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. That's right, Fayetteville, we're coming for you. And you don't want to miss this event as we celebrate our viewers there in the city, as well as honoring the community heroes in the area. So listen, if you like comedy, live music, great food, and a host of other surprises, then you simply don't want to miss this event. The tickets are between $20 and $25, and they can be purchased at Eventbrite. So go now, get your ticket, because it's almost sold out. But we don't want you to miss out. All right? I hope to see you there. I'll be there. AB will be in the building, and we're gonna have a great time. Listen, that's all I have for you tonight. I want you to have a good night, good fashion, and remember, HeSpoke Fashion to you. Hit the like button and the subscribe button, and remember, fashion changes, and so can you. That's all we have for you tonight. Have a good night. Yeah.